Hi everyone, welcome back to Healthy with Nicole. In today's video, I wanted to share with you some information about a plant and the plant chemical that can be used to prevent colorectal cancer and perhaps even be used in intestinal inflammation. So this herb that you may or may not have heard of is called Cascara Sagrada, and it's been known for probably hundreds of years. And the chemical called emodin has been researched actually a long time ago, and they've known for many years, since the 50s, that this herb is very useful for addressing inflammatory diseases, especially in the colon. And even now we've seen some research that shows that it can be used to prevent colorectal cancer. And you may have heard that this is on a steep increase right now among our younger population in the United States. So I think, of course, this has a lot to do with our food system, the stress we're under, the non-native EMFs that we're all exposed to. All of these things lend themselves to that type of inflammatory situation. So anything we can do to help it is great. But this is something I've not talked about before, and I've been using it myself, and I think it actually has a lot of use in ulcerative colitis. So Cascara Sagrada, or let's call it emodin. Emodin is the chemical from this plant. It's also found in aloe. And this chemical is an anthraquinone, and it's been used in Native American medicine for inflammation. It is coming from the bark of the Cascara Sagrada plant. You use it aged, and it's just something you can take in a capsule, or I put the powder in water and drink it down. It is a laxative. So the good thing about it is that it does a great job of cleaning your intestines. Remember, the whole goal for our health and for colitis and for anything else is to keep the intestines clean and to reduce bacteria. And emodin actually does a great job at this because it does have an antibacterial effect, but also it is a laxative. So it's going to help move material through the intestines faster and increase motility. So there is a situation with colitis people that they may not want to use this because it increases bowel movement. So if you're one of those people that has a lot of diarrhea and many trips to the bathroom, probably not a good idea for you. I don't think I would recommend that. I wouldn't do it if I was in that scenario. However, if you're prone to problems, but you're not currently having them, this might be a good way to prevent and reduce inflammation and help to reduce bacteria in the intestines. Remember, it's supposed to be sterile. We don't want bacteria roaming around the gut. We only want it in the colon. And the foods you eat should build the right bacteria in that area. But for the rest of the intestines, having food moving through quickly is a good thing, so it doesn't build that bacteria, endotoxin that create inflammation, build histamine, and create that mess in there. So emodin could be a good way to do this. And it also has some other really interesting properties and effects. So it's actually great for anxiety, which I always find it really interesting because a lot of the people that I work with that have intestinal inflammation have anxiety. So interesting how that overlaps. It's even been used in other psychiatric disorders like schizophrenia, but its property that I wanted to bring up today is this idea of preventing cancer in the colon. And this is such a huge thing because we all know that comes from inflammation, chronic inflammation. And that's a concern for anyone that has intestinal inflammation or disorders like inflammatory bowel disease. It shows up in different ways. And maybe there's a lot of people that don't even know they have inflammation in their intestines, but due to stress, our environment, bad foods, we probably do. And that's my suspicion. And also the motility of your gut is really important. So if you're someone that takes you like 3 days to move food through your intestines, that's the average. And in other countries and many years ago, it was like 24 hours. So on the whole, we have slow motility. And again, this can go back to poor thyroid or low thyroid function. You can check your temperatures on that. But we want to have high functioning, solid intestines that don't have perforations or holes in them, and we want the food to be digested quickly and efficiently run through the intestines where nutrients are absorbed and then out the colon, only there for a short time to build bacteria, and away it goes. So I think using emodin could be a really good way to get a handle on inflammation if it's not to the point where you're having a lot of diarrhea. And of course, if you're having a lot of diarrhea and bleeding, probably not a good time for that. If you didn't have the diarrhea, that might be, maybe that's still an option. So again, talk to your doctor about it. Medical advice here, but just giving you some nutrition and lifestyle suggestions of what I've seen helpful. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is because I've been using it again. I used it a long time ago, kind of forgot about it. And then I started using it again and having really good effects from it. So when you start using Cascara Sagrada, you want to make sure that you're getting it from a well-aged source. The reason that's important is that quinones, if they're not aged, they can cause intestinal cramping and can be a little harsh. So aged bark is really important. Secondly, you want to make sure you're starting with a very low dose. So if you have a chance to take too much by accident, you're going to get diarrhea, and it'll probably last for a couple hours and you'll be fine. But we don't want to increase irritation in there if you're already having that. So start small and slowly work your way up until you basically get to a point where you feel like it's helping you to have 2 or 3 bowel movements a day, normal, not diarrhea. And maybe you see some other beneficial effects as well. I notice that when I take it at night, it helps me sleep and it helps me to feel nice and calm. But the main purpose is to help move the bacteria out of the gut by having regular bowel movements, and also to use those anthraquinones to reduce inflammation in the gut and hopefully help you with that current situation and prevent further problems down the road. So I don't have a source for you exactly on that I want to point to a certain brand, but just make sure it's aged, start with a small dose, and see how you do. So let me know in the comments if you've ever used Cascara Sagrada or emodin. I would love to hear more about that from my listeners. And if you like that video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one.